Good evening. If we could go ahead and get started, it's a minute after 5 o'clock, and our meeting starts at 5, so if everybody could take their seats, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to make some brief introductions. My name is Les Tillery. I am the chair of the Planning Commission, and I'm a rookie, so this is my first Planning Commission as chair, so please be nice to me. Don't be too rough on me tonight. I'd like to take a brief moment just to, in case there's some folks here that might not have ever attended a Planning Commission meeting before, and just give a brief overview about how the Planning Commission functions. The Planning Commission consists of 12 regular members and 2 supernumerary members. Each member of the commission is a volunteer and is appointed by the mayor. The purpose of the Planning Commission is to recommend zoning ordinance amendments, annexation, and zoning requests to the City Council. We adopt and apply subdivision regulations. We approve location, character, and extent requests. We approve the city master plan. We approve vacation right-of-way requests, street name requests, and plat vacation requests. All of these things have regulations and rules and ordinances that we have to go by, and we're supported by an incredible planning staff that supports us and advises us on those things. The Planning Commission is made of 2 subcommittees, the Zoning Committee and the Subdivision Committee. Each committee meets separately at 7:30 on Wednesday mornings. Zoning meets on the second Wednesday morning. Subdivision meets on the third Wednesday morning of each month. And these meetings are open to the public, just like this meeting is. So at this time, I'd like for the Planning Commission members to introduce themselves. Again, my name is Les Tillery, and we'll start down here.
TJ Mears.
Carlos Matthews.
Donna Hendricks.
Kyle Collins.
Sally Warden.
John McMullen.
Kelly Scrimshire.
Jeffrey Rice.
Michelle Jordan, Planning Director.
Okay. So the first item on our agenda is the adoption of minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
All in favor of adoption of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. All right, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing. And we will have, looks like 8 or 9 items on the agenda for public hearings. And the best way to have this go is for each person, if they have something to say or comment on an item, go to the podium on either side of the room. We'd like for you to state your name and your address so that we can make a note of who you are and put that in the record. And then just make your comment. This is not a time to have question and answer with the commission. It's time for us to hear what you say and take note of your concerns or issues that you may have. We'll make notes of those and probably will come up in discussion later on in the meeting. So before each item, Thomas will make a brief presentation on each item, and we'll go from there. So first item is Bob Wallace Business Park 2017.
Bob Wallace Business Park 2017 is located Southwest City, west of 1st Street and north of Bob Wallace Avenue. This item is zone light industry and is approximately 9.44 acres. This item received a variance on perimeter landscaping buffer in February of 2017. And this is a resub of the Bob Wallace Business Park 2013.
Is there anyone to speak on the Bob Wallace Business Park 2017? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Item 2 is Chestnut Point Phase 1, a minor.
Chestnut Point Phase 1 of Minor is located northeast city, south of Governor's Drive and east of Governor's Place. This item is zone R1A and is approximately 1.96 acres.
Is there anyone to speak on Chestnut Point Phase 1, a minor? Yes, sir. Just give us your name and address.
My name's Robert Vlasics. I live at 1432 Governor's Place, property adjacent to the proposed location. I provided you a letter. Have you received it?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. To summarize my letter, we purchased this property because of the privacy And that was over 6 years ago. And now the house in front of us has been destroyed, and they're proposing to put up 3 houses. We're losing our privacy, and I don't know what recourse I have. So I'll wait a response to my letter.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is James Laster, and I live at 1505 Governor's Drive, straight across from where this property is to be developed. My concern is there again, as the gentleman is, about what is going to be placed there on those 3 parcels that you're dividing up. I look out across the street every day, and I looked at this wonderful house that had been there for 60, 70 years. I've lived there for 25 years, but it's gone now, and I'm concerned about what would be back in its place. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further comment? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Item 3 is COBBS Cove.
COBBS Cove is located southeast city, south of Hobbs Road, and east of Cheney Thompson Road. This item is zoned R2A, and it's approximately 20.11 acres, or 21.11 acres.
Is there anyone here to speak on COBBS Cove? Yes, sir.
My name is John Clunan. I live at 13900 Sherman Drive. We're in a lot to the south of this proposed property. I prepared some remarks, and I'd ask that you please bear with me as I read through here.
Sure.
I'd like to thank the City of Huntsville Planning Commission for extending us an invitation to appear here this evening, for the privilege to speak before you. Again, I'd ask that you bear with me as I read this prepared statement, as at the end I will summarize with several key points and recommendations. I would also like to introduce my wife Sonia here in the front row, and we have been living at this property since November of 1998. At the time we moved in, Mr. Kerry Cobb and his wife Ortha were our neighbors. They lived in a modest home on the southwest corner of the property, surrounded by majestic trees, a few of which may be older than anyone in this room. I think from that layout, if you look at the southwest corner, you can see some of the trees on that particular property where they had their home. They had a vegetable garden and grew corn. They also grew hay on the majority of the property in the open area. They rinsed their newly harvested vegetables in an outdoor sink whose water source, to the best of my knowledge, was a natural spring on the southern portion of the property. You'll see that on lots beginning at lot number 9, or proposed lot number 9, extending all the way to the southern boundary of lot number 13. They had a barn that was adjacent to our property where they stored their tractors and other farm implements. The barn was home to a number of barn swallows, which to us are one of the most amazing of God's creatures. We used to sit on the deck and watch the swallows take off in flight, and on numerous occasions they would go into high-speed dives, flying through our backyard only feet above the ground. They rejoiced in their flying ability, and we never tired of watching them. Sadly, the barn's no longer there. The barn swallows have since left in search of a new home. But barn swallows, as amazing as they are only a small part of the magnificent wildlife that utilizes and enjoys the former Cobb property, and we would be remiss if we didn't make you aware of it. First and foremost, there are typically between 3 and 5 deer that routinely pass through the property as they feed and drink water from the stream on the south side. We've seen numerous fawns with their mothers, and in fact, a mother and her fawn walked along the east side of our house one day and stopped in front of my office window. I was lucky enough to get a picture. I then went to my neighbor's backyard, and the fawn ran around the yard several times as the mother proudly watched. Frankly, it was quite a sight, and my wife and I still talk about it. We've also seen the rut over the past 2 years as bucks made their way onto the property to court the females. One buck was massive and scored at least 8 points, and it's important to point out that the former Cobb property is an important corridor for deer as they move from points east of the property to wooded areas on the west side of Cheney-Thompson. So the corridor would be on the very southern side of that property. We don't know how far east they come from. May very well be east of Bailey Cove up on the hills. But we do know that they typically go across the property east to west and west to east, as there's woods on the western side of Cheney-Thompson. And my wife and I'd like to point out, never grow tired of watching them. And in fact, we'll eagerly alert the other one to come quickly if we spot the deer on the property. As beautiful as the deer are, and they're very beautiful, there is a multitude of other wildlife that uses and enjoys the property. For a number of years, we've seen one we affectionately call Billy, and sometimes two beavers that make their way up from Aldrich Creek along the stream on the property. We enjoy watching them feed for what must be 1 or 2 hours just west of the stream, standing up on alert numerous times during the feeding. We've also on occasion seen a coyote, and you guessed it, we affectionately call him Wiley. Furthermore, the hawks often fly over the property seeking their next meal, often field mice, and they periodically will perch themselves on the power lines or poles overlooking the property.
Mr. Clunan, I'd like to interrupt you just 1 second.
Sure.
We understand that there's a lot of wildlife
Okay.
in this area. Would you move to your point?
All right. I didn't want to belabor it, but there is a lot of wildlife. There's a lot of history at this site that maybe hasn't been considered. So let me get to my recommendations. Recommendation number 1 is do not allow any development on proposed lot numbers 9 to 13 at a minimum. A spring originates on somewhere on lot 9, and the resulting stream flows through lots 10 through 13. It's important to maintain this natural resources and the trees that are a natural barrier to the stream, which you can see from the picture on the middle southern portion. We understand that the stream is protected under Section 404 of the Clean Water Act and probably other state, county, and city regulations. But our appeal at this time is not based on regulations, which I'm sure the Commission will follow and make every effort to thoroughly investigate. We're making an appeal on the merits and not based, again, on existing regulations. Also, we'd ask that the developer at a minimum allow an offset on the southern portion of lots 14 through 17 to allow the deer an unobstructed corridor to the west side of Cheney-Thompson. If the proposed subdivision goes in as proposed, there's not going to be a corridor any longer for those deer to cross that property. And they do make use of the fields in feeding and, of course, the stream. It's a natural water source and an ever-dwindling time of water sources. We'd also ask in regulation proposal number 2, do not allow development on lots 1 and possibly 2, and I would say most likely 2, in order to save some of the most majestic trees on the property, including what is probably at a minimum a 50-year-old plus oak. It could very well be upwards of 70 years old. There's also pecan trees, I believe a walnut tree, although I'm not an arborist, and of course people aren't particularly planting pecan and walnut trees these days, so they're only becoming rare. We'd also ask that the entrance to the neighborhood not to require the removal of any of these larger trees. There's a proposed road on just north of the first set of lots that's proposed. The lots go 1 to 17 on the southern edge, beginning at the edge of Cheney-Thompson. Proposal 3, if you haven't had the opportunity, we'd ask that the commission members, or at least some of you, please visit the property so you can see the natural beauty firsthand. We know that you can't normally visit every or even most of the property developments that you're asked to approve, but we believe it's warranted in this case, as this is not your average run-of-the-mill property that someone's looking to develop. In closing, we believe there's an opportunity for the developer to create a subdivision that's not just functional, but that's aesthetically pleasing and that preserves the crucial environmental qualities of the property. To that end, we'd be more than happy to meet with the Jabez Development Company, who is the owner of the land, to have further discussions on the matter. Again, I thank you for the privilege to speak with you today. Sorry for being long-winded earlier, and for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Glenn Hayes, and I live on the south side. I live at 13,001 Camden Circle there. So you can see my fence line is right on the edge of the breakaway where the main water main is across there. It's a very beautiful piece of property. I understand why somebody would want to buy it and develop it. But based on looking at your plat map that you have up there, which is proposed, it looks to me like those homes will be undervaluing the property and aesthetic value of the total community. I mean, we got condos on the other side over there that are all brick. Now, if they come in here with all nothing but hard masonite wood siding houses, I think you're doing us and our neighborhood a disservice. Another thing I'd like to recommend is that a fast-growing tree line on a perimeter boundary be built around all this to keep the aesthetic value of the property beautiful. And if you go back and look at it in the Cheney, Thompson, Oakhurst divisions where we are, we all have trees in our yards where the builder put trees in where we could have a tree line in most of our community development there. The other thing I have a concern with is you say, yes, the builder will control the water and erosion runoff. I've seen it, haven't seen it been done yet completely. If you go down the Parkway, which y'all are reconstructing and redoing, and you just got finished a few years ago where it was usable, now you're doing it again. If you'll go through there, when you see the rains, if you look at the amount of erosion that occurs on the Parkway, you're not going to get a commercial builder to be able to do any better than y'all are doing as a city to control erosion on that. So I have corrosion concerns of filling up my waterway back behind me that the city needs to maintain very well. The farmland has grass on it, trees on it, which use a lot of water, but flat land that is cleared has nowhere to resist water moving. So I have some corrosion concerns that would occur on the property into the adjoining properties and even into Aldrich Creek back there. And if y'all remember in 2000 and maybe it was 2000 or 1999, Aldrich Creek flooded on the back side of that because of 99, because of improper taking care of the creek from the Public Works Department in the past. So those are some concerns I have, that things are going along smoothly, and I know change has to take place, but boy, I would think if that guy paid $1.2 million for that property, he needs another $1.2 million set up for erosion control, aesthetic beauty, and just taking care of things that can occur around all the creeks in that property. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Is there anyone else here to speak? Yes, sir.
I'll use this side.
That's fine.
My name is Leslie Eisler. I live at 13,000 Camden Circle, right next to Mr. Hayes, actually. So we both have the same view when we look out on our backyards. I support everything that the previous two speakers have said, and I would like to just add a couple more comments. I'm concerned about the density that's going to be allowed to be developed in there. I believe there are 69 homes of some sort going to be in there. Those 69 homes are going to be crammed onto a little bit over 20 or around 21 acres, which doesn't leave each home a lot of green and open space around it. If you look at where we live on Camden Circle and all that surrounding property, our homes are fairly well spread out. There's greenery there, there's trees there, there's room for kids to play. Nobody's looking in each other's bedroom. The other thing that I'm concerned about with that amount of density is the amount of traffic coming in and out of there. You're going to be backing on between our development and the entranceway to Challenger School. which is going to create a lot more car traffic coming in and out of there. And the only thing controlling traffic, at least during the school startup and school leaving, are the volunteer or the officers directing traffic. So I think the density of what you're going to allow being built there is very important. The third thing is, and I will talk about the entranceway shown on the plat, as was pointed out previously, it's really very close to where the tree development is and the old farmhouse used to be. I would think that you could move that closer or farther away so that you would not have to destroy the trees and all that beautiful property there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this item? Okay, hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Thank you for your comments. Item 4 is Midtown on the Park Phase 9.
Midtown on the Park Phase 9 is located northwest city, south of University Drive and west of Pegasus Drive. This item is zone R2A and is approximately 8.29 acres.
Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Item 5 is Villas and Greenlawn Phase 1.
Villas and Greenlawn Phase 1 is located northeast city, north of Countess Road and east of North Memorial Parkway. This item was before you in February of 2016. The preliminary has expired. It's zoned R2 and is approximately 19.77 acres.
Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Item 6, Ware Park Subdivision Phase 4.
Ware Park Subdivision Phase 4 is located southwest city, north of Martin Road and west of Zert Road. This item is zone C4, is approximately 25.83 acres. This item has plat restrictions on it, which were established in 2009 and is a resub of Ware Park Phase 3 in June of 2016.
Anyone here to speak on Ware Park Subdivision Phase 4? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Item 7 is Wildwood Cove.
Wildwood Cove is located northwest city, south of Harbor Road and east of Wall Triana Road. This item is zone R2. Is overall 67.83 acres for the relayout and 30.54 acres for the preliminary. This item was previously known as Huntsville Subdivision, laid out in November of 2009, and also has zoning plat restrictions, restricting it to single-family homes only in a minimum lot area of 7,500 square feet.
Anyone here to speak about Wildwood Cove? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Item 8 is our zoning public hearings. The first one is Seminole rezoning. And Ashley will give us an overview of this one.
This rezoning request is approximately 3.98 acres. This property is currently zoned Residence 1C, as well as it's also zoned Residential Office 2 District. The petitioner would like to request that this property be rezoned to our Village Business C6 district. This is our newest district, which was created in 2014, and this will be the first use of this district within the city limits if this item is approved by City Council in the future. In this area, this is located in the Seminole area. It's directly across from Low Mill that you can see here on the right-hand side. And the area in question is outlined in red.
Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. It's Michelle McMullen, 2808 7th Avenue. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. There's a lot of history in the area. You're looking at a neighborhood that's over 117 years old. Planning Commission has played a pivotal role over the years. This is our third rezoning. The way this came about, we started a civic association back in the fall of 1997. At that time, we didn't realize we were kind of immediately put into crisis mode. The original inception and the creation of residential office district zoning was at the behest of the Loma Village neighborhood. We did that as a placeholder and as a protective layer of zoning to prevent further harm from happening to the area. Without belaboring the point, we had 6 halfway houses that were utilizing antiquated zoning, coming under the legal aspects of boarding houses. We were able to, through cross-agency collaboration, the Huntsville Police Department, Planning Department, Community Development, Neighborhood and Media, put pressure to clear those out. We had a small window of opportunity to go in and rezone this area. It has worked very well to protect this area. So I appreciate that. The Planning Commission member faces have changed. It has been 19 years. Claudia was with us from the start. The encouragement from Dr. Gooding and everyone at that time was wonderful. We have, as a neighborhood, gone in and put the residential 1C in place. It has been a battle, literally, to try to attract quality development into a neighborhood that already exists. You have a rare opportunity tonight to play your role and to send this on to City Council with a vote to approve it. This is something that the neighborhood identified with not one consultant, but 3 consultants over the last 20 years as something that we set as a goal to attract developers to go in and to attract individual property owners to come in and to revive a neighborhood that many had written off. This is the heart of our city. The potential here is enormous. We fought for a long time to assemble land to restore a neighborhood park that had been sold out from underneath Loma Village. We owe an eternal debt of gratitude to the Community Development Department, specifically Ken Binion and Scott Irwin, who was able to comp the price as market rate to be able to utilize federal dollars to acquire this land, 3.5 acres of which is part of this 3.98. The original intention there was to go in and create a miniature town square, a village green, if you would, with a little neighborhood park behind the cul-de-sac on Boardman. We were extremely fortunate to be discovered by some developers from Nashville who just happened to come into the area. We're over at Low Mill, and we didn't know they were out there until we actually saw them on foot. They saw the potential and knew that they could do in Low Mill Village what they did in Nashville, which is to revive an area that's historical by coming in with proper infill housing to complement the fabric of the community and the history and the heritage that's already there. They have the capacity. They have a proven track record. I was fortunate enough to meet them about 2.5 years ago. We toured West Huntsville School, and Brandon had just acquired that, and it's a wonderful facility. They appear to be excited about the area. I immediately went within 2 days up to Nashville and started driving through. Just a little bit of history on this. The background is an area that I had been in 25 years ago that most people would not have driven through, much less gotten out of a vehicle, has been transformed. They had a major role in doing that. There are other developers up there, but it started with Invent Nashville and Jamie and Justin. And it's very impressive. A few months went by, and I had a call from Michelle Jordan. And Michelle, I wish you could have seen my face when that call came in. I had probably the biggest smile on my face of my entire life. I realized the call came in, and she said, "Michelle, we've been approached by some developers, and they're interested in investing in Low Mill Village. Can we meet and talk?" So I met with Michelle and John Hamilton. And of course, you know, at that point, was told that they were interested in what would have been our park. I wasn't surprised. If I had been in their shoes, that is the most prime area. It is the focal point of our neighborhood, and it makes sense from a business standpoint. We immediately put the park on hold to see if they were serious and if they were going to buy in. And I was fortunate enough they invited me to Nashville. I went and they gave me a tour. We hopscotched from east, west side, and back again. And so we are very impressed with their capacity and their track record, and we're looking forward to seeing what they do on this site. We have sacrificed the neighborhood park, but we feel like this is something that needs to happen. We will replace that with a smaller little village green somewhere and possibly a playground somewhere in the neighborhood. The trade-off here is that this hopefully will trigger more redevelopment, hopefully on the eastern side of Seminole out to Governor's Drive, which is also on the neighborhood's agenda and wish list. We used to have mom and pop shops, which were restaurants, multiple, small grocery stores, beauty shops, barber shops, these type facilities. And we actually had those all the way up through the 60s. They were there from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, up to the early 80s when we started having a lot of inappropriate development who took advantage of the antiquated zoning. And those have just kind of died off and gone away. And their day is gone. But this is a new version of that, in our opinion. This is the possibility for a neighborhood hub, a focal point with mixed-use live or play space. And if done properly, and we are confident it will be, it will add to the historic fabric of the community, and hopefully 100 years down the road, it'll still be there. And this neighborhood will be thriving as it once did. We are obviously in support of it. Now, I've had 2 neighborhood meetings since the November vote for the purchase agreement. At those meetings, I really have not had any pushback. I've had phone calls. Our last one was a couple weeks ago. The concern was parking, and I think a lot of that's driven by the parking issues around Huntsville High, as well as Ann School of Dance. That just keeps coming up. I think, and I've tried to explain to people the way Village Business District 6 zoning has been designed, it's going to prevent a lot of that. I do want to thank Ashley Nichols, John Hamilton, and of course Jim McGuffey for letting me throw my 2 cents in on at the time of the creation of that. I feel like it's done properly, and I don't think we'll have the issues. So I basically just want to thank you guys for your time, encourage you to vote yes on this. 19 years ago, I stood in the same spot, and I said the decision the Planning Commission was going to make on that night would make or break this neighborhood. I'm able to say that tonight with a smile on my face because we're confident this will make this community. And we appreciate your being there and hope you'll vote yes.
Thank you, Ms. McMullen, for your comments. Is there anyone else to speak on this one? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Second zoning item is zoning ordinance amendment, highway business C4 district update.
This zoning ordinance amendment is to update some existing language that we have within our highway business C4 district. C4 is primarily found along Highway 72 West, as well as we have some other pockets in the Carl T. Jones area, as well as on Sparkman Drive. Currently, the language states that the front yard setback is 50 feet from all street right-of-ways. Planning staff feels that basically with the current trends and the way that the market is tailoring, that's a little extensive. Also, more people are more so into bringing your buildings closer to the street, your parking in the rear, more landscaping in the front. So we're hoping that this proposed change will help make a little bit more of those dreams a reality. Planning staff would like to propose that we relax the front yard setback, that the 50-yard requirement is only for arterial rights-of-way. So this would be your roads such as North and South Parkway, Highway 72. Those are considered major arterials by our major street plan. Also, this would apply to our minor arterials as well. All other roads that are identified as collectors or local streetways will have a minimum of 5 feet for their front yard setback. Also, the rear yard setback, it is currently 20 feet Planning staff would like to remove that rear yard setback as a whole and make that none unless the property abuts a residential district, and this will trigger a minimum 20-foot setback, only abutting an existing or future residential district. Also, planning staff would like to add in shared parking. Currently, most of our parking that's within our C4 zoning designation, as well as most of our other zoning districts, they're all based on the use. So many parking spaces per square foot or per bed or per unit or whatever the language may be. With this particular language, this will add an option for single tenants. Single tenants would be required to go by our existing parking, which would be based on use under Article 70. For all multi-tenant, mixed use and multifamily developments that are permitted under C4, they would all be required to use our shared parking matrix, which is identified in Article 27, and that is our Village Business C6 district.
Thank you, Ashley. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Okay, moving on to part 2 of our agenda. I'd like to call on Kyle Collins, Chair of the Subdivision Committee, to provide the subdivision report.
Thank you, Chairman. Item number 1 of the subdivision portion of the Planning Commission meeting is the Bob Wallace Business Park 2017. It's a re-subdivision of Lot 3 of a re-subdivision of Tract A of a re-subdivision of Lots 2 and 3. West Huntsville Commercial Development, a part of Blocks 117 through 124 and Block 129. Huntsville Land Building and Manufacturing Association addition to the City of Huntsville, and a re-subdivision of Lot 1A of a re-subdivision of Lot 1 of the Bob Wallace Industrial Park. A re-subdivision of Lot 1, Bob Wallace Business Park, a minor, and please do not ask me to repeat that. The committee recommends layout approval of 2 lots with a waiver on the angle of the side lot line between Lot 3A and Lot 3B, utility and drainage easement underneath buildings along the north lot line of Lot 3B.
Move to approve.
Is there any discussion? All in favor for approving the layout for 2 lots, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, this is also presented for final approval on the 2 lots.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Any discussion? Michelle, are these in order for a final?
Yes, sir, they're in order for final.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2 is the Chestnut Point Phase 1, a minor. As the committee recommends the layout approval on 3 lots with a waiver on a non-perpendicular lots line between lots 1 and 3.
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
There's discussion. I'd like to ask whoever can answer this. Has there been a zoning change recently with this property at all?
No, no, sir. It has not been a zoning change within this property whatsoever.
Okay, and do we know what the development is being proposed for it?
For two future single-family homes.
Okay, is there
On the new Lot 1 and Lot 2, there's an existing home on Lot 3. If you look at the depiction here, it is essentially 4 lots, and the current existing home occupies 2 lots. That lot line is being adjusted, and that lot will be the larger of the 3 lots. So this existing home will be maintained, and the 2 lots created would have 2 future homes on them.
So to just reemphasize, it's always for years been zoned for this use. We're just moving lot lines right now.
We are adjusting lot lines, correct.
Okay.
And if you look at these lots kind of mirror what was there in the past.
Right.
The lots were approximately 100 feet in the past with 250-foot depth. Now they are 75 feet with 250-foot depth.
No further questions.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is COBBS Cove. The committee recommends layout approval of 69 lots with the following modification: cul-de-sac length at 899 feet along Street B, and the following waiver on double-fronted lots 66 through 72, and on the non-radial lot line between lots 6 through 16 and 22 through 33.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I had a bunch of notes on this one. This is the right one, right? Is this the one that everybody was talking
COBBS
about?
Cove, yes, sir.
Okay. Just real quickly, I'm going to ask the same question. Has the zoning changed on this property in recent years?
No, sir. And even to the south where the homeowners have spoke, they have the same zoning of R2A.
All right, and so the zoning that has always been in place on this property has been for this type of density?
Correct.
Okay, has the engineering looked at the water runoff?
Currently, this is the layout, and so they at the conceptual design. But I think I can talk to John, speak with John Hoover, the engineer on this particular property, to talk more about the preliminary design and the engineering on it.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously have some concerns about the water and the water runoff and the erosion.
Now, the stream is protected via our regulations, our subdivision regulations.
Okay.
Now, this stream is also, I assume that it's core regulated. So if there was an adjustment in the stream, that Mr. Hoover, as the engineer, would have to seek said permit from the Corps of Engineer to adjust the runoff from the spring itself.
And if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, can we have
Certainly.
Mr. Hoover just tell us a little more about it?
Sure. We're actually going to leave the stream and the springs alone. We'll put a setback around the spring, and we've got the lots deep enough to where we can leave that all as natural until we get the Corps to look at it. But right now, we're just leaving everything as is.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Talk about the erosion issues. There's ADM permits required, silt fences, protection of.
Yeah, we have to meet the standards of ADM. So everything is very, very strict. We'll have all the appropriate measures in place.
And I don't know who to address this particular question to, but in reference to the runoff into Aldrich Creek, many years ago there was a problem with flooding in that particular area. Since that has been corrected several years ago, do we foresee any further problems with the extra runoff from this particular subdivision into Aldrich Creek?
No, it's really better for all this water to go ahead and get into the creek as soon as it can to get on downstream.
Can you address the buffer area?
The buffer, they're not going to take down. They're not going to take down any trees that they don't have to, because that helps sales lots. So they're going to leave as many trees up there as they can.
And the setbacks required are?
For the buffer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a setback for the buffer screen planting easement on double-fronted lots for 15, but there's no buffer required between the same existing zoning districts, R2 to R2.
Thank you.
If I could, I would like to speak. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. I'm Wendy Lee. I'm the owner of Lee House Home Building, who will be building the new homes on this piece of property should it get approved. Just a little bit about, for the homeowners that are here and concerned, my history has been the past 22 years working with Jeff Benton Homes, developing communities around Huntsville and building homes. So I'm excited to break out and do my own home building business. I am from South Huntsville, native of South Huntsville, and Mr. Cobb actually is one of my dad's friends, so very familiar with the wildlife and the beauty of this piece of property, which made it the perfect place for me to start my home building business. So I very much want to protect what I can, given that it's a development for new homes, there's some things we can't avoid. You did mention, someone mentioned, it might have been Mr. McLennan, mentioned hopefully having a tree line to kind of broach between the two, and that would be our plan. In addition to, as John already mentioned, leaving the stream natural and untouched for a lot of reasons, but the main one is it does have a lot of trees around it. There's a beautiful hawk that I have lots of video and pictures of myself that when I go out and visit the site, he likes to visit me while I'm there. And we do have pecan trees, we do have walnut trees. I don't know that those can be salvaged, but certainly they're appreciated for their history as well. So just wanted to say that we're doing everything we can to make this community beautiful as it is today going forward when we have new homes on it.
Thank you. This is not a period for the public comment. You're welcome to have a private conversation with her if you'd like, but the commission would like to discuss this a little more, I believe. Anybody have any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 is Magna Carta Place Phase 2 is presented for final approval on 31 lots.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Is it in order? Because they've got to get
Oh.
the letters of credit going.
I'm sorry. Is it in order for a final?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It's in order with sidewalks and improvements to be installed by February 15th, 2018.
Thank you. And thank you, Claudia.
I was getting ready to
All right.
grab you.
Now let's vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 5, Midtown on the Park Phase 6, presented for final approval on 33 lots.
Is it in order for a final?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It's in order with sidewalks and improvements to be installed by February 15th, 2019.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 6, Midtown on the Park Phase 9, the committee recommends preliminary approval on 24 lots.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 7, Villas in Greenlawn Phase 1, the committee recommends preliminary approval on 11 lots.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 8, Ware Park Subdivision Phase 4, re-subdivision of Lot 2 of Ware Park Phase 3, re-subdivision of Lot 1 and Lot 4 of Ware Park Phase 2, and re-subdivision of Tract 2 of Ware Park Subdivision. The committee recommends layout and preliminary approval on 6 lots.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from voting.
Okay.
Before discussion, Captain Rice had a question at subdivision committee regarding the Zert Road project, and is expected to be to start construction of summer of 2017 for southbound lanes.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, is also presented for final approval on the 6 lots.
Is this in order for a final?
It's in order, and Jim McGuffey has some items that need to be addressed at this time.
So commission members, the approval of the final plat is expressly conditioned upon these 5 conditions I'm going to read here. Proper certification, execution, and acknowledgement of the plat by all owners of the lands embraced by this plat as of the date of execution, including both legal and equitable title holders, including any mortgage holders or other persons or entities having an interest that grants title to same as evidenced by a title opinion suitable in form and content to the city attorney. And said execution shall occur on or before March 28th, 2017. And this final plat shall not be used or referenced in the conveyance of the lands embraced by this plat until it is approved and recorded. If the foregoing conditions are not met by said date, then the final plat is deemed denied. And in the event of foregoing conditions are satisfied within the stated time, then the final plat is in order for the execution by the chairman of the Planning Commission and recordation in the real estate records of the Office of the Judge of Probate of Madison County.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
And the motion should include those 5 conditions.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 9, Wildwood Cove. The committee recommends relayout approval on 155 lots and preliminary approval on 26 lots with a waiver on double fronted lots 7 through 9, 40, 41, 54 through 56, and non-radial lot lines.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, part 3 is vacation of right-of-way. Do you have that too?
I don't remember. I'll take it. Vacation of right-of-way. Vacate a portion of Old Gurley Road, Tract 6 of Chase Creek Park, 162 Old Gurley Road. The committee has recommended approval of said vacation.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2 is to vacate a portion of an unimproved North Street located between lots 10, 12, 21, and 23. Addition to the addition to the town of Viduta,
Yes.
Lookout Drive. The committee recommends approval of said vacation.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, part 4 of our agenda is the zoning. Kelly Scrimsher, would you read the zoning report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Zoning Committee met on February 8, 2017, and has the following recommendations. The Seminole rezoning, a public hearing was held, and the committee recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? I'd just like to say that I appreciate Ms. McMullen's comments on this. Clearly, she's passionate about it, and the city, personally, I am excited about it. I believe the city is excited about it too. So thank you.
And I totally ditto what the chairman has just said. I think you're doing a fantastic job. That's for me personally, not in my role on the commission.
Now, from a law enforcement standpoint, we have definitely seen a turnaround in this community because of the actions taken, and the people in the community really have gotten involved and turned this neighborhood around. So we definitely salute you for your work.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is zoning ordinance amendment, highway business C4 district update. This amends Article 24, highway business C4 district regulations, section 24.2, density controls, by amending subsection 24.2.4, amend section 24.3, required yards, by amending subsection 24.3.1, and amend section 24.5 off-street parking and loading requirements to update density controls and required yards language and add shared parking requirements. A public hearing was held and the committee recommended its approval.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Martin rezoning, the committee recommends that the Planning Commission set a public hearing on this item for March 28th.
Move to set a public hearing.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Blue Springs rezoning. The committee recommends that the Planning Commission set a public hearing for March 28th.
Move to set a public hearing on March the 28th.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Kelly. Part 5, invocation and extension of bonds.
Yes, Mr. Chair, staff recommends the invocation of items 1 through 5.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Part 6 is committee assignments, and these are the following members of the zoning committee. Sally Warden, Sally will be chair of the committee. Kelly Scrimshire, Gary Whitley, Devin Keith, Donna Hendricks, and Peggy Richard. The members of the subdivision committee are Kyle Collins as chair of the committee, Jeffrey Rice, Kelly Scrimshire, LaFrida Jordan, Carlos Matthews, and TJ Mears. Is there any further business to come before the commission? Okay, thank you all. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Well done, rookie.